So to finish off our little chat about drag and how we reduce it, let's have a look at how the lift to drag ratio of aircraft has improved over the last few years. If we look back to the 40s and 50s, we see the Schleicher K3 lift to drag ratio of 18 at 40 knots. Move on to the late 50s, early 60s, we get the K6, still quite a few of these flying around, lift to drag ratio of 31. So just a little bit below what we have with the juniors at the club. 1970s we see the development of the ASW 15, lift to drag ratio of 38. Move on to the 70s, ASW 17, lift to drag ratio of 48. And then really getting towards the limit we see the ASH 25, a lift to drag ratio of 57 at 58 knots. The K21 you're flying, that's a lift to drag ratio of 34 at 46 knots. But anybody out there without their silver distance yet, what I would recommend is buy an ASH 25. If we look at the ASH 25, it travels forward 57 meters for 1 meter loss in height. So your 50k distance only requires 877 meters of height loss. It's just 2,900 feet. So get up to 4,000 foot on a good thermal day, and then a straight glide should get you 50 kilometers no problem. So the lift to drag ratio now is really approaching its limit, and we see these open class gliders. This is the ETA. It has a lift to drag ratio of 60 at about 110 kph, and really the ultimate is the Concordia with an aspect ratio of 57.3, so a very big wing, and a lift to drag ratio of 75. But these are now reaching the limits of the conventional drag reduction techniques and the structural strength of aircraft to have such high aspect ratio wings. And what they're really looking at nowadays is not so much increasing the lift to drag ratio, but what's known as flattening the polar. If we look at the K6, nice wooden glider from the 1960s, the minimum sink rate 70 kilometers per hour, about 0.75 meters per second down. But as you speed up, what we see is that the rate of sink increases quite quickly. So by the time we get up to 150 kph, our sink rate is 3 meters per second. Let's compare that to the Antares, which is a modern high-performance glider. And what we see here is that, let's have a look when we've got water in the wings, that our minimum sink rate, around about 100 kph, sorry, is about 0.6, 0.7. So not a lot of difference from the old K6 actually. But as we go up in speed, look that the Antares, when it's flying at 150 kph, its rate of descent is around about 0.8 meters per second. So the rate of descent has only increased by around about 0.2 meters per second with a 50 kph increase in speed. So a significant improvement over the glider from the 1960s. And that's what the glider pilots who are in competition want. They want to be able to fly at high speed and not have a massive increase in the rate of sink of their aircraft. And therefore, for a given height, they can travel further faster. And again, here we see the benefit of having a high wing loading. High wing loading, here we've got a wing loading of 55 kilograms per square meter, and the rate of descent at 200 kilometers per hour is a lot less than the same aircraft with a much lower wing loading. The other thing, just as an aside with drag, we have something which is known as speed stability. Our drag curve has a minimum, so there's a minimum drag speed, and that occurs when the parasite drag equals the lift induced drag. We get the minimum drag, and at that speed, that's our best lift to drag ratio is as well. But because this minimum drag speed is above the stall speed of the aircraft, we can fly above the min drag speed as well as below the minimum drag speed. And this has an effect on what's known as speed stability. So let's imagine that my aircraft is flying above the minimum drag speed. We're flying along and my speed increases a little bit. Now because my speed has increased a little bit, my drag has gone up, and if the drag goes up it will cause us to slow down and we'll go back to our original speed. If we slow down a little bit, the drag goes down, and therefore because we've got less drag we'll speed up, and we'll speed up to our original speed. So flying above the minimum drag speed is speed stable, and your speed will tend to remain constant even if you're doing very little to try and make it so. But let's imagine now we fly below the minimum drag speed. Now if we're flying below the minimum drag speed, what happens now? Let's imagine that I speed up. Now if I speed up, in this case my drag has gone down, and because my drag's gone down I'll speed up a little bit more and my drag decreases, so I'll speed up a little bit more, and I'll keep speeding up until I get to the minimum drag speed. If I slow down, then my drag goes up, which will cause me to slow down even more, which will increase my drag and cause me to slow down more, and I'll keep slowing down until the glider stalls. So we don't really want to fly in this area here because we have speed instability and it makes life a little bit difficult. Now when do we fly slowly? Typically when we're coming into land we'll be flying slowly, and we can get into this situation. But if I deploy air brakes, my minimum drag speed drops, and so the likelihood of me becoming speed unstable becomes less. So this is a real big kind of advantage of using air brakes during approach and round out, is that you've reduced your minimum drag speed and you're less likely to become speed unstable and less likely to have a pilot induced oscillation. So do not land without a reasonable amount of air brake to avoid this PIO situation.